Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX agency, consultancy, and we do training. Check us out, though I will be fixing our website over the coming months. I've decided today to not turn on too many of my lights and to just go a little bit more natural, which means crazy hair and a green screen that's not completely green screening, and just enjoy the sun that's coming in my window over there. So I hope you don't mind that today's picture will be a little bit weird, but why not? Mix it up a little. This is early office hours. Once a month, I do an office hours on a Tuesday that starts at 10 a.m. my time. Normally, every Tuesday, I'm doing these at 6:30 p.m. my time, which is Central Europe. So once a month, we do an early office hours to catch people in time zones near me and east of me in case anybody has any live questions. So I stay here as long as you can stand me and just take live questions. So you can ask these questions through YouTube chat, LinkedIn live chat, or through our anonymous question universe, deltacx.link/ask. Yes, I'm going to look a little bit weird since my green screen isn't fully on because I didn't turn on all my lights, because I like the look of the sun out the window that I'm facing that you can't see. So normally I will stay here if there are questions, and I will end the stream if there are no questions. So let me know if there are any questions. I will set a timer, and that way, if we don't get questions in a certain number of minutes, we don't just sit here staring at each other wondering why we're here. So let's see. Oh, it looks like, that's late. It looks like LinkedIn, YouTube just got the message that I was live. Oh, that's 3 minutes delayed. That's funky. I hope y'all aren't 3 minutes delayed today. That's going to make this very asynchronous. As always on Tuesday mornings, I'm having my breakfast shake. I hope everybody is doing well in whatever time zone you find yourself in. And let's get a countdown clock going. Let's run 5 minutes and see if we get any questions in the next 5 minutes. While we wait for those questions, I'll tell you about some of the other shows that I have coming up, which of course you can always find at deltacx.link/events. That'll take you straight to a Google Calendar, and you can take that Google Calendar and add it to your Google Calendar so you can know when we are going to be live. Just want to change a few things here in my system so I don't press the wrong button. That's just too easy. So yeah, that's a good way to know what we're up to, but I'll give you a couple of hints of what's coming up in the schedule through the end of September. Every Friday is Reaction Stream. Deb reacts to wacky stuff you've sent in. You can send stuff in at deltacx.link/reaction. And of course, every Tuesday is Office Hours Ask Me Anything, which is 6:30 p.m. Italy time, and you can send in questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week while I'm sleeping at deltacx.link/ask. Let's see, scheduled shows coming up. Monday, the 27th of September, we're going to have another panel discussion. We'll have 3 special guest panelists, and we're going to talk about what day-to-day UX work is really like. There's so many YouTube videos that are like, what's my day like? And I always find that they must work in some really special glamorous place, because it doesn't look like the days that I've had at all. So we get some UX people together from around the world and talk about what their job is really like, and we take your questions live. So that will be Monday the 27th. Let's see. Wednesday the 29th, yay, Bettina will be here, and she's going to be talking about crypto and NFTs, which I don't get at all. Do you get them? If you get them, can you please help me? Because I don't get them, so I can't wait for her to explain this to us. Shifting into October, I've got something headed, not headed, it says hidden project and product management in UX. That's going to be Monday, October 4th with Sophie Freiermuth. And let's see, then we've got a micro lesson October 6th on what I like to call customer journey map disaster outcomes. It's a little variation of a customer journey map that you can use in case of an emergency. I've used that a couple of times and it's worked, so I wanted to share it with all of you since it's a little weird thing in my toolbox. As for October, let's see, Monday the 11th, I'll be sharing my new Medium article with you, reading it out loud and taking questions. It's about being feature driven versus being task oriented. Tuesday the 12th is going to be Office Hours Ask Us Anything, which usually features Darren and Dr. Nick. Hopefully they can both make it. Wednesday, we're in October now. Wednesday, October 13th will be our monthly Slack networking. So that's totally free to attend. You just have to be part of our Slack channel, which is also totally free. deltacx.link/join Slack. Let's see, what else do we have planned into October? That looks like about it for October. So I haven't been planning that much stuff yet, maybe winding down for the end of the year a little bit, but that's it. So this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I'm normally here to answer your questions, or all questions are welcome. And I take them through the chat rooms as well as the anonymous question system, deltacx.link/ask. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm here. Otherwise, I am checking my messages to see what my boyfriend has to say because he's at the vet with Olivia the dog. But how are you all doing? What's going on where you are? How's the job going? Anything I can help you with? Anything on your mind? You know, as we get later in the year and the weather changes and holidays are coming up, I know people sometimes are struggling with different things. If you think I can help or you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Good morning, E. E, where are you based? I can't remember. You're just an E. Let's put you up on the screen. Oops, layering. Sorry, let's try putting you on the screen again. E, looking into the sea. Oh, it's E. Hector. And your hair's longer in that picture. You fooled me. Okay, got you. Mysterious E. It's your James Bond name. Well, at least it sounds like the lag is no longer there on YouTube. Oh, time's up. Dismiss. Well, that was 5 minutes without a question, so I don't know where everybody is today. I'll give it 5 more minutes, but if nobody has any early office hours questions today, I'll just stop the stream for today. But y'all know I'll be here in 8-ish hours, 8.5 hours for the office hours that I do every week at 6:30. I already did get one question ahead of time for that, so if you have a question you would like to hear answered later today on that stream, send it to deltacx.link/ask and you will be added to the list. And it sounds like the dog is okay. And today I've got real sun and just a little bit of light. If I turn off my light, sun and a little bit of leftover tan and freckles from the summer. And a giant pimple. I don't know, it's just reality, y'all. I don't bother putting on a heap of makeup for you. I try a little concealer, but you know, I am how old I am. It is what it is, y'all. Here we go. Well, I've got one light on a remote control. Got it on Amazon. Got most of my equipment on Amazon. Not sponsored. You know, I wish there were some better places to shop from. And it's hard to find. So even when I try sometimes to go to the original seller, like if somebody is selling something on Amazon and I find their real website, and then it's like, Amazon, you'll get it in 2 days. Real company's website, I'll get it in a month. And I'm like, shipping and logistics, y'all. Hi, Satish. And Satish says, Debbie, is design thinking really working in real scenario due to time frames? Okay, let's add Satish's question to the list that I keep, and the list of questions is later put into the description in the YouTube channel when this is archived. So Satish, if I'm understanding you correctly, you are wondering if design thinking can really work in real scenarios in companies when we have a short time frame. So I guess my question would be, is that the best use of your short time frame? As you know, if you hang out on this channel at all, I'm totally against design thinking in pretty much every incarnation it comes in. And so if we really have a reduced time frame, I mean, are they giving you a week? Are they giving you 2 weeks? And what do you have to do in that amount of time? So in general, I would want to plan the project based on what the desired outcomes are and what we know so far and how much time they're giving you. If they're really only giving you a week and they expect that you're going to do design thinking in a week, well, you might get some thinking done, but ultimately you're going to be it's going to be more design guessing. And that's where we need to talk to our coworkers about the risks of cutting UX short and skimping on it and thinking that guessing at product design is ultimately good for everybody, because there are too many risks here. If you don't build the right thing for customers, you're going to put a burden on support. People might complain. People might not be sure how to use it. People might send out angry tweets at your company. There's so many risks and possible side effects of a product that isn't right for its intended customers. So number one, make sure you're documenting the risk of asking UX to rush through a process. That should be documented as a risk because it is a risk. It's creating risk. Second, I would say take a look at episode 115. This is in the over on YouTube. I know you're on LinkedIn, but over on YouTube, where you're welcome to subscribe, there's a live streamed podcasts playlist, and you can find episode 115. They're all in number order. We're up to, we did 129 last night, so 115 was some weeks ago. And I talk about how to get people out of their addictions to design thinking and workshops and design by committee and shortcuts, and hopefully that will help you as well. But ultimately, I would say that what works in a UX project, whether we have a short amount of time or a long amount of time, is doing as much of the proper user-centered design process as we can get through in that amount of time. Design thinking is not considered a UX process. So here's a UX process. This is a sample graphic just showing some of what happens in user-centered design. We are supposed to be doing research before we do anything else. Content analysis and strategy, information architecture, interaction design and prototyping, usability testing, iterating, visual design, and documenting. Now, if they're only going to give you a week or something like that, then of course you have to ask yourself, oh, time's up. You have to ask yourself, what can I get done in this amount of time? It might unfortunately just be some interaction design and prototyping, where you're just going to try to create solutions. You're not going to have time to research the problem or research customers or their context, attitudes, behaviors, mental models. You're just going to have to jump into solutions. If you are doing that, I would still make sure you keep time for testing. Because testing is the QA of UX. And that's what I tell people. You don't release code without somebody QA testing it to make sure the code isn't so buggy. Why do we run with UX guesses or concepts or ideas or possible solutions without giving them a little bit of testing? So I would say whenever I have an extremely short amount of time to solve a problem and I'm not going to be allowed to do research and some of the other things that would better inform my design choices, I would normally opt for design and at least one round of testing so that I can see, is my idea going in the right direction, or is this totally wrong for our customers, in which case we have to raise it as a risk and get more time to fix it? Or was it close and it needs some iterations or improvements to get out there? But Satish, unless you want to tell me what your definition of design thinking is, to me there's nothing inherent in any definition I've seen of design thinking that would guarantee you a better outcome, or that would guarantee you quality work, because design thinking, at least as I understand it, is not a quality process. And so in that case, why are we doing a low quality process? Let's put as much quality in as we can, and if we're stuck for time, we still want to try to build in that research. So I'm just going to make some notes here that I should probably redo that graphic. So let's make a little note. So, Satish, does that answer your question? Let me know if you have a follow-up question. All follow-up questions are welcome, even if they're not from Satish. All right, I've made a note. I need a new graphic. Anybody else have any other questions? Otherwise, I will start another 5-minute countdown and see if anybody's got questions. And we do have a question. Someone's got an anonymous question. Let me head over to my anonymous questions and see what's come in. Okay, we got the anonymous question, and I have good news for the person asking it. Morning, Abby. Okay, so next question that came in anonymously is, how is enterprise UX different? Any challenges that one can expect in that setting? You know, this is best answered by going to the live stream podcasts playlist on the Delta CX YouTube channel and look up episode 117, because we did an entire hour-long episode on working in enterprise UX, and we spoke specifically about some of the challenges and the things that you're going to have to consider or face or deal with. So I would say, instead of me trying to repeat here everything that was in an hour-long episode, I would say please go into the live stream podcasts playlist. This is why we do this on YouTube. We have over 430 videos on the YouTube channel. So if you've got a question, chances are the answer is somewhere in there. You can always go to YouTube and do a search, Delta CX Enterprise UX, and you'll get episode 117. Okay, great, thanks. Okay, we've got a few more questions. We've got E, codename E, asking what my typical workday is like, and somebody who is showing up as LinkedIn user, so I apologize, I don't know who this is, saying, what's my best advice for getting into UX at an entry level? All right, so I'm going to start by answering E's question two ways. One is, what is my typical workday like right now? And what is my typical workday like when I'm in the middle of a UX project? Because I don't really have a UX project right now. We're in a holding pattern with one of our Delta CX clients where they are coding some designs that we already created and tested and iterated on, and now they're going to A/B test them on the site. So we're in a holding pattern there. I am doing a project where I am writing a half-day training program for a well-known organization, but even that is not day-to-day UX work. So my day-to-day now is mostly lots of emails, sometimes some prep for this show, because I'm live 4 days a week now, dealing with things at home and with my dogs, and working, lots of writing. Right now I'm doing lots of writing. So if I'm not writing for the client, I'm probably writing a Medium article or I'm making notes. Later on, I hope to update that outdated graphic I've been using for 10 years. So time to update that graphic, I think. When I'm on a UX project, or let's say earlier in the year when our Delta CX client was more in the thick of the work, a typical day for me looked like hours of, we focused on research for that project. So it was hours of research, and depending upon the day, it could have been research planning, it could have been conducting the research, it could have been working on the report. So because we're a consultancy, I don't have a typical corporate day-to-day. I don't have a stand-up meeting and then a meeting about this and then a meeting about that, and then I get 10 minutes to do work before I have another meeting. That's what I think most corporate jobs look like. But when we have our agency or consultancy work, we're really just doing that work. We do hold some internal meetings, so we're not meeting free, but we do hold some internal meetings. But I would say we mostly collaborate asynchronously using Google Suite tools, or whatever they're calling it now, Google Docs and Google Sheets and things like that, where we can asynchronously comment because we're not all in the same time zone. We use a lot of Slack. So my typical workday is kind of long. I'm usually at my desk by 8 or 9 in the morning, and I'm often here until 10 at night. I don't recommend that for other people, but then again, I run my own business, and so it's my choice to work at my own business the hours that I choose, and certainly during the day, I take breaks that other people don't. Sometimes I do the Italian thing and I take 2 hours to cook lunch. So there you go. I hope that helps. If that's not what you were looking for, ask a follow-up question because I'm happy to talk about all of these things. LinkedIn user asks, what's my best advice for getting UX at the entry level? And what I would say there is right now, I don't have a lot of good advice. It's unfortunately kind of ugly out there. Hold on, I'm going to open this up with my phone. It's Catherine. Okay, so I opened LinkedIn with my phone. Hi, Catherine. I don't have a lot of good advice right now because no matter how you try to learn UX, there is a broken bridge here. So whether you went for a uni degree or a terrible boot camp, because they're pretty much all terrible, or self-study or online courses or mentoring and coaching, no matter what you do to learn some of the knowledge part of it, we don't have a good way to get you into your first job because employers moved the goalposts the last few years for reasons I won't go into. I've talked about it many times. It's in my book. And basically, employers move the goalposts. So this means that a lot of companies don't want to consider you for a job until you have a year or sometimes 2 years of traditional corporate work or work that looks like the work they'll have you do. That means that a school project does not count for real work. That means doing a website for your cousin probably doesn't count as real work. It may have felt like real work, but these people are trying to see you in a corporate environment with agile teams, with the way a corporate day works or agency day works. And so we don't have that bridge right now that is built between getting your knowledge and getting some practice with fake or real projects and then getting that first full-time job. So I don't have a lot of good advice on how to get into that first job because the problem is boot camps are for profit. And so they are just on a mission to graduate as many people as possible, whether or not they're good at UX, whether or not they learned the right things, whether or not they have a personality that is likely to do well in UX. So I think the problem is that while we have no education standards, everybody gets a certificate, everybody gets a hooray and a shower of confetti, and they're told, go find a job. So I don't have a good answer right now to how people can get a job. I think you just have to keep learning and practicing and leveling up and trying and try to, eventually be that person who's selected for a job. But I think until we build in more apprenticeships, I don't see how that happens. And I'm believing more and more that apprenticeships will have to be built into schools and not into companies. So I've said for a long time that I want to see apprenticeships built into companies. I technically do, but I think that the more I think about it, apprenticeships are going to have to be built into schools or some sort of learning environment or coaching environment because companies expect you to work there and know what you're doing and hit the ground running and not still need training and support. When they hire programmers, the programmers don't go, hey, I'm new to this. You're going to have to teach me programming while I'm here. They go, what you talking about, Willis? So I think we're going to have to build that into schools, but I don't have a good answer for this yet, Catherine. It's a question I get a lot, and I have a lot of words, but I don't have a lot of solutions, and I'm aware of that. And I am working on solutions, and I'm brainstorming with other people behind the scenes, but unfortunately, it's not looking good. So I'm gonna move on. But oh, thank you. Catherine says, I just finished my degree, and like you said, it's muddy out there. Yeah, it's stupid muddy out there, and for bad reasons. And so I don't have good news for people, and I do think that degrees look better on resumes and CVs than not degrees. But still, the question is, are you job ready? And even me, I was recently working at a place where I was hiring and interviewing, and we really couldn't consider people with less than 2 years experience because we're being brought in as experts and consultants. Like, think about my agency. So I can't be like, yeah, we're the experts and consultants you need, but everybody working here has been doing this for a month or two. That's a bait and switch. So that's where this gets hard. But thank you for the question, and good luck with the job search. If there's any way that we can be at least emotionally supportive to you, we'd love to be there for you. That's part of what our Slack workspace is all about. And of course, you're welcome to join. It's completely free. There are no membership fees, nothing annual, nothing monthly. This is just a community. deltacx.link/join Slack. Okay, let's go to Abby's question and see if I'm missing any anonymous questions. No. Okay. All right. And thank you to Satish for saying that my answer was detailed and helpful. Thank you, Satish, for the question. Keep them coming. Happy to talk about things like this. And I know it's just one of many perspectives and opinions you might collect. All right. Abby says, we can put it up on the screen because it's YouTube. Is there any video of yours in regard to user requirements, online tools, or websites? I don't understand your question. Can you please rephrase that? I'm having trouble with that. Is there any video of yours in regard to user requirements, online tools, or websites? That could mean so many things. I think I'm not clear. Abby, you're next. So I'm going to answer your question as soon as I understand it. But can I ask you to please rephrase that, or I know YouTube limits your characters. Maybe take a few YouTube posts to write out what you're thinking, because I don't know if you're looking for a tool to help us write requirements, or a tool to deal with requirements that were given, or what to do when we get requirements for a website, or how we collect requirements. So I would say I am a little confused by your question, and I would love more details and information if you can serve those up. Meanwhile, I'm happy to supply any other answers if anybody has any questions. I know we don't get many viewers this time of day, but remember, I do this every day at 6:30 p.m. Central Europe time. So depending upon where you are in the UK, that's going to be 5:30 p.m. India is, are you 3.5 or 4, or let's see, India, Mumbai is 2 p.m. right now. That sounds like 3.5. So that's probably, if I'm doing it 6:30 p.m., it's probably 10 p.m. for India until Italy changes clocks in a month or so. So 10 p.m. I think for India. Check if that's 6:30 p.m. User recruitment. Oh, user recruitment. Oh, that's so different. It said requirements. Okay, great. Let me change this to recruitment. Recruitment. Okay, super. Thank you, Abby. That's definitely super helpful. Yeah, so funny enough, I am building a tool related to recruitment, and I hope it'll be out next year. But let's talk about recruitment. So we've done some micro lessons around planning research and things like that. And I think we did a micro lesson around building a screener survey. Let me check my records. Yes, so check the micro lessons playlist, and I talk about creating UX research screener surveys. That would definitely be something that you would be doing related to recruitment, but of course it's not the only thing going on in recruitment. Okay, maybe you saw that one. So again, right now, what we've learned is that many people in doing recruitment glue a lot of different tools together. You're going to have your survey tool that you use for the screener survey. And again, I'm tool agnostic, and this is not sponsored. You can use whatever tools you like. I'm using Alchemer for my survey tool, ALCH. It's a terrible name, ALCHEMER. I am paying for it, and it is expensive, but you could use any survey system that's got good survey and logic and results. And then many people end up dumping that into Excel or Google Sheets to try to sort through people and start picking who they want to meet and trying to make sure they get representative numbers of groups or personas or typologies or demographics. So you probably are doing that in an Excel or a Google Sheets. Again, the tool I'm building is going to solve all of this, but it's not ready. I'm hoping next year. Yeah, so then Excel or Google Sheets, and then from there you have to start inviting people, which is all about sending them to a calendar appointment system, and that can be any calendar appointment system you like. Again, not sponsored. I've been using Acuity for many years, but every year I feel a little fed up with them, and I try to find someone else, and I never find someone who has the same feature set. So I'm still with Acuity, but I'm looking at another one this weekend, and it's actually one that I used like 10 years ago, and they've improved since then. So again, tool agnostic, however you want to book is however you want to book. Why is my battery dying? Hold on a second. I run my show from my Microsoft Surface, and it looks like it's not plugged in. Give me a second. Meanwhile, ask some questions, y'all. We got time. Oh, Surface Pro, why aren't you plugged in? Let's see. How's that? Is that plugged in? I think that's plugged in. Hi. So ultimately, I have not found one website or system that handles this the way that I want it handled. There are some companies who have built some of this recruitment management into other things they're doing, like user testing claims they have recruitment management, but when I tried it, I wasn't happy with it. So of course, remember, you're welcome to try any service or tool that you find. I haven't found one that I liked, and it was kind of so bad that I decided I'm going to just build my own. Though, it's because it's been a side project and it's my own thing. We're taking 2 years to do this, and I'm not doing an MVP because I can't come out with a minimally viable recruitment tool. I've got to come out with something that really works. So you're right. There isn't. I would say the closest video is the screener surveys one, but I don't think I have a video that really talks more fully about recruitment. So I'll make a note that we should probably do a show about recruiting for research. Maybe Michelle Ronson wants to come back. Maybe we try somebody else. So let's see. Excuse me. All right. Thanks for that. And am I missing any anonymous questions? Remember, you can ask questions anonymously at deltacx.link/ask. You can ask them 24 hours a day. It won't wake me up, and then I'll see them here and put you on the list. And the weather is nice, so you can hear people driving down the street and beeping at each other. Yes, people heard that. So hey, this is office hours. I will be back in 8 hours to do this again. I'll turn on more lights so the green screen isn't giving us weird greenness. But at least the Surface Pro should be charging now. Okay, very good. Yep. Any questions? Otherwise, I will set the 5-minute countdown timer. And if we don't have any questions there, we'll just wrap up for the day. We don't have to stay here an hour, especially since I'll be back later today answering more questions. If you think of a question and you want it answered, you can always send it here, deltacx.link/ask. And then remember, if you can't make one of the live sessions, these are always archived on YouTube in the Office Hours playlist. So you can always find past adventures if there was one that you knew you sent in a question for. Excuse me. Live show. How come news anchors never sneeze on TV? I've never seen a news anchor sneeze on TV. How do they do that? Somebody's got to sneeze at some point. Oh well, magic. TV magic. Just checking all my effects. And I guess it's time to redo the user-centered design one. But that's going to feel good. I have a real feeling of everything changing right now. Do other people feel that? I feel like the people in my business world are changing. I feel like my clients are changing. I feel like something's about to really shift in my world. So I don't know. It's kind of exciting. Something is coming. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. And I'm sleepy. Is it just me? Yes? No? I love it already. What? You love what? Remember, we're delayed like 2 or 3 minutes. So if there's something you love, I don't know what it is. And now it's going to take me 3 minutes to find out. Let's set another 5-minute timer. And if we don't have any questions in that time, we'll just wrap up. But again, set your calendars because I'm here every Tuesday. Just follow deltacx.link/events and you'll know everything that's happening live on this channel. If you enjoy this channel, would you please tell 3 people about it? Find 3 people and say, hey, you're into UX. You are a leader, you're a senior, you're getting into UX. This channel is for everybody. I get questions from leaders and managers, and I get questions from newbies and hopefuls. So this channel is for everybody who would like to talk about the customer experience or the user experience in any way. The organic, yes, my content being organic. Yes, thank you. It's certainly real and unpolished in some cases, and organic. So there's that. And I'm going to be spending today working on that writing for that client, which at first feels a little overwhelming, but I'm also kind of excited about too. Then it'll get them my second draft, and we'll see what they think. Sneezing being realistic. Yes, I don't know how news anchors don't sneeze. By the way, quick note for people on LinkedIn. Happy to see you on LinkedIn, but I certainly recommend joining us on YouTube. It's ad-free. I've turned off ads for all of the videos. You should never see an ad. And you can subscribe there and find out when we're live. You can certainly empathize with the like button. And also, I've got it set up so that if you use emojis in YouTube, they float around the screen live. So it's kind of a fun little interactive thing that I think is fun. Oh, I've got a new anonymous question. Let's go fish that out of the sea. Please hold, because I run on lots of different screens here as a one-woman show. All right, so we've got a question, and I tend to keep these anonymous even though I'm seeing your name. So hello, anonymous person. And let's read this question out loud. I can't put it on the screen because it comes in the sneaky way. All right, it says, let me just flip back to my other windows. Okay, it says, hi, in a software company where the user is not taken into account. Solutions come from assumptions and little user input. How can UX be fired up? Well, that's a super question. Thanks for asking it. And it's something we talk about just about every day on this channel. So if that's close to your heart, definitely tune in a lot more because holy cats, I think that's all we talk about. So first of all, I would strongly recommend in the live stream podcasts playlist, episodes 115 and 116. Probably more episode 116 in this case. Unfortunately, together they are 4.5 hours of content. I went there. But I think that they would be helpful and give you some answers. Let's see, we've got another question from LinkedIn. I will copy and paste that onto the list after this one. Thank you. So, 2 things for the person asking the question about the user not being taken into account. First of all, does the company want to change? If the company thinks that what they're doing is just fine and working really well and everyone's happy and customers love it when we don't take them into account and we just guess it's stuff and it's going so well, it's going to be hard for you to change it. I found that a lot at companies. They're using fake metrics to try to make it sound like customers are happy and the work we did was great and nothing to see here. If you're in that type of situation, then it's going to be very hard for you to say, wait a minute, we're not creating solutions, taking real user needs, behaviors, attitudes, pain points, preferences, priorities, tasks into account. They'll say, What are you talking about? This is going just fine. What we're doing is working. So thing one, if you can't change a company to be more customer centric, it's not your fault. They've put enough things in place and glued the house of cards together where they're not going to want to hear that they're getting it wrong or there's another way to do it. Because I found that very often these companies think that any other way of doing things is just going to slow them down, and it's more important to be fast than to be good. If you have a little bit of room in there, and the room that usually where you can find the room is, has your company, at least recently, had what I call a disaster project? Something where users weren't taken into account. It came from a stakeholder or an executive or a product manager, whoever, and it was, ooh, let's build this. And you took all the time to design it and build it and test it and merge it and release it. And it was bad. You got complaints, you got tweets. Maybe you had to undo it. I know of companies who had to roll something back, or something that had to be fixed very quickly because it caused problems. If you've got one of those at your company, chances are they swept it under the rug because they want everyone to believe that they're fast and efficient and this is going just fine. But if you have an example of where this didn't go just fine, then you have to kind of lean on that a little bit and say, well, we do have more projects like that one than we should. We've got a lot of projects where we rush through something and then we have to fix it later. Don't we care about what that customer experience is like? What about if you were that customer and paying or not paying, but what if you were that customer and the company keeps putting out updates that aren't right for you? Do you think that we're going to keep these customers? And especially, this is a good conversation if your company has competitors. When your company doesn't have competitors, it's really hard sometimes to convince companies to do better. They go, they don't have competitors, there's no other choice, and they can only use us, and who cares? They'll just have to use it, nya nya. And Janani's asking about, how do we change a culture of feature-driven? Yeah, it's hard. That was from my recent article, and I'll be doing my recent article on a show in a few weeks. So thing one, don't poop on yourself if you realize you can't change these people, because it seems like fake agile and fake lean come with a lot of things that people do to try to prove themselves that they're doing just fine, which is so strange because lean is about reducing defects and agile is about embracing change to be better for the customer, better internally. And yet everybody is afraid to change and doesn't want to hear that things are going wrong. So I think you have to find the stories of those disaster projects and be able to find someone, your manager, a program manager, project manager, and say, hey, this is risky for the company. These are wastes of time and money. They're bad for morale. They're bad for our customers. They're bad for our users. They're bad for the public. They're bad for our marketing team who has to deal with this. They're bad for support. They're bad for sales. They're great for our competitors. So I think you might have to find some of those examples and lean into them and say, our company has too many of these projects that go a little bit wrong or a lot wrong, and we can't sweep these under the rug. And as I say in my episode 116, we can't rely on, hey, just fail fast, and hey, if you're not embarrassed by it, you've released too early. These are things that San Francisco startup bros can say to each other all day long, but we're not that. We're not two San Francisco startup bros in a garage trying to invent something. We are a real company with real customers trying to make money, and we can't try to take pages out of the lean startup. We're not a startup. I hope that helps. Janani, does that help? And anonymous person, does that help? Have I gone in the wrong direction? But I think mostly, a lot of fads right now, a lot of trends right now are saying, create empathy. Just create empathy for customers. And I say, well, that's not happening. People genuinely don't care if the customer is having a hard time or not. They say, customer will figure it out. They'll use it anyway. You're not creating empathy. Your empathy creation adventure is a failure. It's not happening. Stop trying. Because ultimately, empathy doesn't necessarily create action. Empathy is nice. Sympathy is nice. Caring about customers is nice. But what knowledge did we base that on? Or do we have empathy for things we made up? Well, that's not empathy. And are we taking any action or the right action? Are we doing the right things for what our customers need? We have to be taking the right actions. Otherwise, congratulations on your workshop fake empathy and your empathy map. I don't care if you have empathy. I don't care if you mapped your empathy. If we're not taking the right actions based on good knowledge about people, systems, contexts, behaviors, etc., it's theater. It's theater and it's guesses, and it's probably going to work against us and be something we have to undo. Janani says, yes, I'm already being told we know users' pain points, so it's fine to be feature-driven. And I say, because these are based in guesses, they work until they don't. And the problem is that if people get more guesses right than they get them wrong, then they tell themselves guessing is just fine. But the crazy thing to me is that there's nothing agile about guessing, and there's nothing lean about guessing. It's fake agile and fake lean that tell us we have to go as fast as we can, forget about quality, don't worry about users, just go fast. And if you really look at agile and lean, they're not about just go fast. They are about be more efficient. And I'm all for efficiency, but there's nothing in either of them that says sacrifice what people need. And in fact, if you really get into things like traditional lean before the Lean Startup book was written, you'll see that lean is about delivering value to customers based on customers' definitions of value. And we're only going to know customers' definitions of value if we research with them. And you can always say that if we know users so well that we're willing to guess about them, let's just do some usability testing. It's the QA of UX. Let's just do some usability testing on these concepts before they go live. But remember, don't fall into the typical hole of testing for do people like it. You're not testing for do people like it, and you're not testing to validate it. You're testing for, does this solve the original problem we set out to solve? And again, I see that's a common mistake being made where people use testing to say, well, people seem to like this, so it must be good. Well, hold on. Did it solve the original problem? So make sure that any testing that you're doing has people doing tasks that relate to the original problem. And then we can see through how they do the tasks in our UX prototype, did we solve that problem? Did we make this easier to learn, easier to use, faster, better, doesn't require so much memory or knowledge, isn't as easy to make a mistake, gets the task done more quickly or efficiently? Did we solve the pain points? And that's not the same as, do people like this? There's lots of things that I like that don't totally solve my problems. Like is not my standard. So make sure you're at least getting in a round of testing, and make sure those testing sessions are recorded on video, either moderated or unmoderated, so that you can show people later, look at these people struggling with this stuff. And if they say, oh, well, it's only one guy, say, okay, but one guy out of 5 is 20%. What if 20% of our users struggled with this? Are you still okay with that? At what point do we decide that it's okay for us to create pain points? Is it okay for us to create pain points for 1% of our users? 5%? 10? 20? How many users is it okay for us to create pain points for, create frustration for? You tell me. Let's write it down. Let's document it, everybody. Everybody on our team, let's document that we're okay with 10% of our users failing at this task, being frustrated by our system, and possibly leaving as customers, exiting our ecosystem, going to a competitor. What's that number? 10%? Or do we have a low threshold for that? 1%? Fewer? Would we be okay if 1% of customers struggled with this and it pissed them off so much that they left our company? You tell me. And these are the conversations I want to have and the things that I want to document. All right, we have another question from LinkedIn. And then we might be winding up here. Maybe one more question if anybody has it. It says, please talk about data visual design and how we can make it simple and find a different niche in UX in it. Neat question. So data visualization is definitely a subspecialty in the UX and UI worlds. I do believe that it's something that some people are better at than others. And I think that the best way to make it simple is really good research and testing, is to really understand, why do these people need these visualizations? What are they using them for? And what are they going to do next? So this is when we talk about an end-to-end customer journey. I need to make a graphic for that too. Let me write that down. End-to-end customer journey image for show. When we have an end-to-end customer journey, there's only part of that customer journey that they do with us. So, for example, they're going to whatever your tool or dashboard is to see these graphs or visualizations. But something happened before, and something's going to happen after. If we can use research to understand what that is, we can make sure that these graphs make the most possible sense for what these people need and what they're going to do with them. So for the before side, you're trying to learn what happens in their day-to-day work that they need to go look at these dashboards or whatever they are. Why do they need to look at them? What's going on that they suddenly go, oh, you know what, I better check that thing. And then we have what happens while they're there. And then we have, what do they do with that information after, or what actions do they take based on whatever they saw in the graph or data visualization or dashboard. Maybe they say, I take no action, I just wanted to know. But let's learn that. And then ultimately, that is our customer's task. That's the true end-to-end journey. You hear about customer journey maps, map the end-to-end journey. The end-to-end journey includes moments when they're not in your product or ecosystem at all. So I would say the best way to make visualizations more simple is just to make sure that they're a real match to what people need to see and know, and then what they need to do because of that information. What actions are they trying to take, and how do we make these data visualizations informative but also actionable? What are people going to do next? How do we set them up for success in what they're going to do next? By giving them the right visualization. And sometimes these visualizations are simple and sometimes they are complex, but it depends on what the user's needs are. To me, it's more important to serve their needs than to make the graph really simple. Maybe this deserves a bit of a complex graph, but maybe depending upon who your users are, they get complex graphs. I recently did some research where people had all kinds of complex graphs on inequality in worker pay based on things like race or gender. Those were really complex graphs, but everybody who looked at them got them immediately because that's what their job is. So, it doesn't always have to, simple is good, but there are times where you just have to cater to the customers and what they need. And if what they need has a bit of complexity or extra dimensions, that's what you should build because it's a match to what they need. Hey, I hope that helps. We've got another question from Janani. How have you been, by the way? Let me copy and paste that into the list of questions for today. And it says, I can put it up on the screen. Do you have any advice on free versus paid versions of products? The product team is seriously considering a suboptimal UX for the free version to act as a deterrent. Well, the fun thing about that is is that it will live up to the word you've just used. It will be a deterrent, but it will be a deterrent to your product. Because here's the fun part. Let's say that I'm a free trial user and I'm using a system, and let's say it's suboptimal. It doesn't match my needs. I'm not able to try the features that you might have that may or may not be right for me. And let's just say it's suboptimal. And you're welcome to show this to the team. Hello, Janani's team. Let's talk about this because we have to put on our critical thinking hats. Here's mine. We have to put on our critical thinking hats and say, what are the possible outcomes here? What are the possible outcomes if we show people a free version that we've purposefully made not that good? Now, we imagine that if we've made the free version not that good, then people won't stay with it. They'll pay for the paid version. But What if we've made the free version not so good? And that means that people just leave and they choose the competitor. Because very often people are not just looking at your system, they're comparing other systems. So they might be in your free trial, they might be in one or two other free trials, or they might be free trial yours first and then free trial somebody else's. They're now in comparison and shopping mode. And the problem is that if you deter them, if you turn them off in any way and you have competitors, why should they pay for this? They've just been dissatisfied with the free version. If I don't like the free version, why should I assume I'm going to like the paid version? That's an assumption and a fantasy that might not come true. So when I have a negative experience, and I'm talking selfishly right now, I may not be your user, but when I have a negative experience with a free trial, I never say, wow, that free trial was not right for me, but I imagine if I paid, it would be much better. And that's also because nearly every company that I use has a free trial that is 100% access to the real product. Now, it's different lengths of time. There's a company I've used where their free trial is 5 days. You better hurry your ass up and try this thing because that's all you get. There are companies I use where the free trial is 60 days. They want you to get really invested in it. And I do think that that can be smart because if you give somebody a longer free trial and they start using it, they don't want it to go away. Now they've got to pay for it. So I think the 5-day trial is a little bit too short. I think 30 days is good. 14 days can be okay depending upon what this tool is. But I would say be careful of creating a deterrent because you might create a deterrent. And then what will you do? What will you do when you've turned those people off and they're out telling their friends, yeah, I tried Janani's company and it really wasn't what I needed, so I went with these guys. Now that's the word on the street. Congratulations, you built a deterrent. You were successful. You wanted to build a deterrent and you did. I'm proud of you. So we have to be careful there. Shrivas is adding, I would assume that a kind of equivalent is paywalls. I feel like that'll make people not want to actually buy the paid version because the free version had poor UX and that could push them away. You could push it for the analogy of food samples. When you get food samples at a store, you get the actual product so that you pay and buy a larger quantity. Free version with poor UX would be like a food sample with no salt. You wouldn't pay to buy a large quantity if the sample was bad. Janani says, I'm streaming this tomorrow at work. Fantastic. Yeah, let's go into this more. So again, when we really care about our customers, we don't have to have empathy. Empathy is about feeling their feelings. I don't care if you feel their feelings or not. If we care about our customers, then we care about the customer experience we're creating, and we don't want to accidentally or on purpose build a deterrent. The best deterrent to a free version is making it a limited trial, but make it a limited trial of the full product. And that way people can really get into it. 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is. You want people to be invested in it so that it's hard to leave. So there are many things that I use every day that were free trials that I'm now paying for and paying a lot for. And I'll give you some examples, though it's not sponsored. The very software that I use to run this show. Let's cue it up, everybody. It looks like this. Cut. Looks like this. Except the chat on the side is somebody else's. The chat room on the side is Restream. This is vMix. Hi. And vMix is I think a 60-day free trial. And by the first week, I knew I couldn't live without it. I did not want their competitors. I tried their competitors. I was unhappy with their competitors. This is the right tool for me. Now it's Windows only. So I'm happy to recommend vMix, but it's not going to work for all y'all on Macs, which in UX tends to be most people. And of course, not sponsored. I pay vMix. They don't pay me, but I freaking love vMix. And this is how I run this show. So let's go back to a giant picture of me by clicking this merge button. Many of you know I'm fans of Monday.com, also not sponsored, and also who knows who I'll be a fan of in the future, but at least in September 2021, I'm a fan of Monday.com. And I got a free trial of Monday.com, and about a few days into it, I was like, I cannot live without this. And I started shutting down the system, the competitor that I'd been using for 10 years. I left a company I was with for 10 years because I liked Monday.com so much. And again, that could change in the future, and people will say, Monday.com, Deb, what do you think? And I'll go, boo. But at least for now, I'm a super fan. And that is because the free trial made me say, this is so good. I cannot see myself not having this. You know, I feel that way a little bit about my survey tool. I know Alchemer is expensive, and I complain about that to them constantly, and they don't care. But it's a really good survey tool, and it's little known. A lot of people know Google Forms and SurveyMonkey. It used to be called Survey Gizmo, which I thought was a good name, and now they're Alchemer, which I think is a bad name. But it's a really nice system, and I'm paying for their, I think, middle level. But I tried it, and I was like, this is better than all the other systems I've tried. That's it. You know, even I struggle with Acuity. I like Acuity a lot, not sponsored. But there's a few things wrong with them that make me crazy that they don't seem to care to fix. And so once a year, I'm looking for competitors. And this year, I'm looking again. So I might leave Acuity after, I don't know, 6 years with them and recommending countless people to sign up with them. So that's, again, where NPS can be very deceptive. I give these companies high NPS scores, 8, 9. And then I'm loyal until the day I find something better and I leave. So I think we have to think about what is the experience we want the customer to have. And especially in a free trial, we want them to fall in love with it, and we want them to be unable to imagine not having this, unable to imagine using something else. And but then it has to be at the right price, because there's a tool that I like called Aha. Also not sponsored. Aha is bizarrely expensive, off the charts expensive if you ask me. I like it a lot. I wish I were using it. I can't afford it. It's not for me. And when I try to tell them they should create a package that's more affordable, they say, no, we're a premium service. And I say, oh, pass the gray poupon. You know, thanks a lot. You know, fine. I'm not your target audience and you don't want my money. That's fine. But you have to think about, what are you trying to do? And if you're trying to catch flies with honey and so on, that someone is texting me. I don't know who this is. Oh, I do know who this is. All right. Yeah, sorry. Some wacky news lately that we've all had to deal with. Yeah, so anyway, we're overtime. First we had no questions, now we're running late. But anyway, Janani, I hope that helps. And remember, I love to talk to people's companies, and I often do this for free. If your company wants to have a chat with me about this, let's book some time. We can do it early. I can try to accommodate Australia time, but we can do it late. But I'm happy to talk to some people's companies about this if you think it'll help. But hopefully share this video with them tomorrow through to the end and say, what's our goal here? How do we catch more flies? How do we catch more flies? You catch more flies by making a better product, better than the competitors, for your target customers and what their needs are, and then you give them access to it. I mean, vMix is fun. vMix gives you access to their highest tier of stuff as the free trial, and I see that a lot. I see a lot of free trials giving you access to the highest tier, so you get to play with all the features, and then I'm paying for a lower tier on vMix, but that's my choice. I didn't need all of the features, but I'm a paying customer now. So give people access to all the things, and do not make suboptimal UX ever, but especially as a deterrent, because be careful what you wish for. It will be a deterrent. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up. Good to see everybody and some new people here. And I will see y'all in 7.5 hours when we do this all again for Office Hours Ask Me Anything at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Australians will be sleeping. Sorry about that. And if you want to ask any questions for later today, use deltacx.link/ask. I've got one question queued up already, and we'll add whatever questions you add. So for now, I'm going to sign off. I hope everybody has a safe day or evening wherever you are, and I will see you all soon. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are